Good morning. Welcome back to Bald Feather Bets, everyone. We'll do a quick recap of College Ball Conference Championship Saturday. Lay out all the plays for today for NFL Sunday. Please first make sure you subscribe to the channel, notifications on so you know when we post. Yesterday we were like about only an hour up until that Big 12 kick. Sometimes we take a little bit of time. Today, plenty of time. And then make sure you are interacting with the content. Like the videos, comment on them, share them around, anything you can do to help grow the channel. Never charge for these picks. Just want to help grow Bald Feather Bets. Okay, so Conference Championship Saturday, we were 13-5 yesterday, so positive day. Start out with a win in the Texas Tech BYU game. That game was eerily similar to the first one. Actually, one more turnover that Texas Tech was able to force, though. But exact same thing. One touchdown for BYU where they looked good on a drive. Outside of that, nothing offensively. Then kept holding Texas Tech to field goals rather than touchdowns, which kept that score closer, but then ultimately started turning the ball over that then made separation. It was like the exact same game. It was very strange how similar that game was to the first one they played. But yeah, that's... there wasn't really much takeaway from that. Pretty easy win. Maybe a little dicey there when it was 13-6 before Texas Tech got that interception and then ran it back down to first and goal. And then Dickey scored on the touchdown right after, but really nothing to sweat too much about that one. Then in the SEC championship game, in the afternoon game, loss 5 units, so that brought us to 5-5. Bama didn't look like they really got off the bus for that one. I know they had a lot of injuries. I think they ended up having like 8 to 10 guys out who either start or play significant time. So they're a rotational second player, but not just like a backup, someone who gets in a lot. But -3 rushing yards. We will touch on real quick here at the end of the college ball if there's anything in playoff rankings futures this morning that you potentially should grab for those. That reveal comes out at noon Eastern. Spoiler, no, but we'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, Georgia dominated every facet of that game. Alabama's defense actually played okay, given how short of fields Georgia kept getting. I mean, at one point it was 21-7, and Georgia had a touchdown off of a short field on a blocked punt, and then a touchdown off of a punt where they returned it to the Alabama 38-yard line. So Bama's defense actually played decent in it, kept in as much as they could, but that offense was completely anemic. They had nothing. And I see a lot of Ty Simpson hate today. He didn't play very well, but he didn't get any help either from anyone on that offense. The offensive line, the wide receivers, other than Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams played decent. He didn't get any help anywhere. So anyway, okay. Then in the evening, we were 8-0. Duke win in overtime. Got nervous and went to overtime there. It did feel a lot better though once Duke had the ball first, because we had the +5. So your biggest concern in an OT situation is if you have +5, but the team you're playing against gets the ball first, and then they go up 7, and then your team can't score. But Duke got the ball first, scored a touchdown, so felt confident. Then they got an interception on the first play, good for them. Duke ACC champs. That game went about as we expected. It went the way we thought the first game was going to go, where you saw Duke defensive line kind of control things. It wasn't really until late when they were tired that Virginia was able to move the ball in that 2-minute offense. Yeah, I mean, Duke's a better team than Virginia, so that one didn't really... I would have liked to have gone 5 units on that, if I'm being honest, guys, but because it was just kind of like who gives a shit about the ACC championship game, I didn't want to overload on that because Duke could have easily come out there and pooped their pants. So I didn't want to overload on that one. But win there. And then IU Ohio State, again, we said we thought IU would win outright. That was definitely the best game of the day. Those two teams slugged it out. Really strong defensive battle. Ultimately came down to a Jake Fielding missed field goal. The Big Ten is the worst officiating that I've seen in any of the 4 major power conferences, including the NFL. why the Big Ten will not call holding, and it was both teams, so it didn't really like go either way, but it's extremely frustrating to watch though, because it's like, hey, the rules of the game are X and you guys are applying Y, and you're the only conference that applies Y. It's just more about like, Big Ten is such a fucking joke. But anyway, I will say this. It did impact, I think, Indiana to a very strong, significant amount, because they were getting home with the pass rush often. Like, they were getting around Ohio State's tackles, and then they were getting just literally tackled to the ground. And same thing actually happened with IU. Ohio State had Mendoza dead to rights a few times, and the IU tackle would just literally pull the edge rusher down, and no flag, like, so obvious holding, no flag. Anyway, but again, both ways, so impacted both teams. I thought Ohio State actually moved the ball decently in the second half. You have 2 goal line drives that result in 0 points, because they go for it on the 4th down where Sayin is just short. That was the right call. He was short. And then they kick the field goal on the other and he misses. So it's a 13-10 game. If either of those 2 drives result in a field goal, you're tied. If both of them result in a field goal, Ohio State wins probably 16-13. So I thought that was the main difference. IU hit the big play downfield that kind of neutralized the early one that Ohio State hit with Smith. You did see Ohio State offense be a little bit more limited, and you did see Sayin get moved off of his spot, which is exactly what IU needed to do. Yeah, not a whole lot to take away from that one. I think both teams are really good. Looking forward to watching both of those teams in the playoffs, honestly. Would probably give, you see this morning very little odds movement in who wins the national championship. Ohio State's still favored. You're just getting instead of plus 185, it's like plus 210, and Indiana came down. You've missed your opportunity to bet IU to win the national title. If that's what you want to do, don't. They won't. But yeah, if anything, maybe you sprinkle a little Ohio State national title. It's not the same thing as last year. Like last year when Ohio State lost to Oregon, I was like, grab Ohio State national title now. The second they lost to Michigan, I told you guys, grab Ohio State national title now. It's not the same. Ohio State doesn't have quite the same team they did last year. And it's not as clear of a path as it was last year. Because now there's a very good chance that them and Georgia are going to be on the same side of the bracket at 2 and 3. And that honestly is a tough matchup for Ohio State with the way that they play this year. Especially that RPO thing. I told you guys about that yesterday, and that did freeze the Ohio State linebackers just long enough to allow for outside runs, and allow for Mendoza to hit some people over the middle, especially the tight ends and Surratt. And guys, you gotta remember, IU lost Omar Cooper during the game last night, so there's probably even a little bit more to be had against this Ohio State defense. Like, think about Georgia with Zachariah Branch, Oscar Delp, stuff like that. Georgia, Ohio State will be a tough matchup for the Buckeyes. It will be. Okay. So yeah, there's nothing in terms of college football futures. What the community should do versus what they're going to do. People are talking about the Miami Notre Dame thing, and people feel like everyone's made. It's very clear that Miami should go to the playoff over Notre Dame. Honestly, the Alabama loss and the way it did only hurts that, because now they're going to jump Notre Dame and Alabama, so they're still going to have that one team of separation, so they don't have to put Notre Dame and Miami's name right next to each other and then try and justify why Notre Dame's ahead of Miami even though they beat them. So now it's going to be Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, 11. And regardless of what you think they should do, this one I think is debatable. Should a team fall after playing in the conference championship game? They're not going to do it to the SEC. They're just not going to do it to the SEC. The SEC already should reverse their decision to go to 9 games with the fact that the committee didn't actually value strength of schedule the way that they said they were going to. If they drop Bama from the ranking like Bama isn't even the SEC team that's playing the best right now that's on the bubble. Like between Bama, Texas, and Vandy, like there's a clear one of those three that is playing the best, and there's a clear one of those three that is playing the worst, and Bama's absolutely playing the worst. And you can make the same argument for OU too, but like OU beat Bama, so it keeps them ahead of them. There's just very, very strange things. The committee's just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. So I see people out there saying, oh, there's value to take Miami to make the playoff today, or there's value to take Bama to miss, or stuff. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The rankings are going to be Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, and they're going to the playoff. Whether they should or they shouldn't. We need to overhaul the entire system. But yeah, that's the way it is. I'm telling you, the committee's already ruined non-conference marquee matchups with this year's decision, unless they fix it between now and then. You've already seen Alabama say they're going to cancel theirs. They did cancel one of them. Texas said Ohio State and Michigan are locked in because it's home and home, so we're going to play the second of the home and home, but they'll cancel the Notre Dame series. Yeah, it's really a shame because it's so easy to not do that by just valuing strength of schedule, but they didn't. Not an analysis show, but I do want to make one point, because I feel like maybe people think it's controversial, but it's not. I think strength of schedule should be the number one thing that is valued in the committee's opinion. So I think an 8-4 team with the number one strength of schedule versus a 12-0 team with the strength of schedule in the 50s should be a debate. Like, I think there should be a debate in terms of who's ranked ahead of who. Strength of schedule, I do not believe that the ESPN SOS metric is the way that I would do it. I would do it based on power rankings from odds makers, because they know what they're talking about, and then that's how I would rank the strength of schedule. But yeah, if a team, like, I think there is genuine debate right now between Texas at 9-3 with the 5th highest strength of schedule versus 13-0 Indiana with the 54th strength of schedule. I think that should be a genuine argument. And if those two teams played each other on a neutral field next week, most of you would be very surprised at what the line would be if those two teams played each other from a power ranking odds maker standpoint. Yeah, that's just the way I think. Had Wisconsin with that schedule, had Wisconsin actually done something with it and gone 8-4, I think Wisconsin should have been in the conversation to be in the playoff. And when I say in the conversation to be in the playoff, like, we should be having the debate of, are they ranked ahead of Ohio State or behind Ohio State, or are they ranked ahead of Texas Tech or behind Texas Tech? That's the argument that I think we should have been having. I think strength of schedule should be the 90% of how the playoff debate is talked about. All right, anyway, NFL plays. So we gave out, I think, like 4 or 5 of these, but a lot of these are going to be fresh to you guys. So I'll try and talk a little bit more about them. Falcons plus 7.5 for 5 units. We already gave you guys that one. You're good to take it down to Falcons plus 7. I am seeing Falcons 6.5. I'm seeing a lot of 6.5s out there so far this morning. The sharps are on the Falcons pretty hard, just due to a lot of the stuff with Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. And then the teams have started to learn how to defend the JSN slot fade, and without then another true outside receiver like a DK on the outside, you can devote more resources to that, and then you're not really as concerned about the 2 outside receivers that the Seahawks have. So they've been figured out a little bit, but that still doesn't help you figure out the Seahawks defensive line, which is why the sharps wouldn't let this thing get too much under 7. So you can still grab 7. Just make sure you get Falcons plus 7 and not Falcons plus 6.5. But anyway, Falcons plus 7.5, 5 units. Ravens minus 5.5 for 5 units. You're good to take it up to Ravens minus 6. Do not go 6.5. All 3 of those numbers are out there right now. Ravens definitely pushed here. Definitely need a win here after what happened on Thanksgiving. Steelers, you can argue, in the same boat. Steelers dealing with pretty significant injuries. Interesting coaching matchup here because you have two coaches who are some of the longest tenured that people are talking about being on the hot seat in their respective positions now. I don't think really either should be on the hot seat, but I also understand why people, especially in Pittsburgh, are getting frustrated with 9-8 every year. I just don't think coaching is the reason that that's happening. I think it's that I think it's a franchise and an organization that's unwilling to tear down. The Ravens, Lamar got hurt for the whole first half of the year. I don't really know what people thought, think would happen. But we like the Ravens here. They've been running the ball a lot better. And we think that a lot of what happened against Cincinnati was pretty flukish with regards to turnovers, balls being fumbled out of the back of the end zone, all sorts of things like that. I know Lamar struggles sometimes when he plays the Steelers. I just don't know what the Steelers are going to do about Derrick Henry, given how many rushing yards they're currently giving up a game. And that's why we like the Ravens here. So Ravens minus 5.5 for 5 units. Bills minus 5.5 for 5 units against the Bengals. Again, think a lot of what the Bengals did against the Ravens on Thanksgiving was a little flukish. Like the Bills' ability to run the ball here against this Bengals team. And again, the Bills' weakness is teams with rushing offenses. That's not really what the Bengals is what the Bengals are, especially with Joe Burrow back at quarterback. They're very pass happy, and that's how they took advantage of the Ravens on Thanksgiving. But that's this Bills team is weak. They have a lot of weaknesses. It doesn't really quite match up against the Bengals like this. Now, this does remind me a little bit of the AFC divisional game 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Yeah, when Bills were like -5, -5.5, -6, something like those, were right around the same line. Snowy, up in Buffalo, all of the public money was on Cincinnati. All the sharp money was on the Bills, and Bills came out and just absolutely laid an egg, and Joe Burrow tore through them. And then in the AFC Championship game, you had the Osai push Mahomes out of bounds out at the 15 yards. Then Bucker was able to make the field goal to send the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. But I think it'll go differently. I tend to not change my plays. Also, that's like 3 years ago now at this point. So these are two very different teams. But I think the Bills will probably win this one going away. Okay, Jaguars +2 for 3 units. You're going to take this down to anything Jaguars plus money. So Jaguars +0.5 or better. Jaguars historically dominate the Colts when they come down to Jacksonville. Daniel Jones playing on a broken foot. Colts have been very much so figured out. Gave you guys I'm not going to claim we gave Colts to miss the playoffs because I told you guys that's a stretch. Definitely gave you guys Jags or Panthers to win that division, though, back when the Colts were, was it 9-2 or something? So, yeah, I think the Colts are going to get beat straight up here. And I do, at this point, your value on it's gone, but I do think the Colts are missing the playoffs now. Saints +8 for 3 units. You guys are good to take this down to anything. Saints +7. I think there's now 8.5s out there, so get the Saints +8.5 if that's available. But no, there are Saints +8.5. Yeah, okay. It's Saints Saints +8.5 for 3 units. There are potentially Saints +9 out there. If you can snag the 9, get the 9. Mike Evans not yet back for the Bucks. These two teams hate each other. I know it didn't go the Saints' way the first time they played. Saints showed a little something last week in their cover. Hoping that we can get the same thing from them again. Okay, Brown. This line has wild variation depending on where you're at. So we're on Browns -3 for 3 units. There are 3s, 3.5s, 4s, and 4.5s out there. When you're this close until kickoff, that never happens in the NFL. But that just goes to show you how difficult books are having, how difficult of a time books are having right now in terms of handicapping Shedeur Sanders. You have 2 games now where he really hasn't played all that great, but he has a couple of plays where he's opened up the Browns offense that are outliers in terms of like total yardage, but they do add to the total yards. So how does the book handle that? This has nothing to do with that. This is us fading that Titans offense against the Browns defense when they're playing in Cleveland. Browns -3 units. Myles Garrett may have 5 sacks today. So yeah. Vikings +1.5 for 3 units. You're good to take that down to anything Vikings plus money. We told you guys it is coming back down. I've seen a couple of Vikings +1s now. But we told you guys we'd grab that as soon as the Jaden Daniels news was that he was playing. There really shouldn't be too much of an adjustment for it. This is more about the Commanders' defense and the Vikings being able to win a game without actually having to complete a forward pass. They should just mainly be able to run read option and hand the ball off all game. Also expect JJ to play a little bit better. Jets +3.5 for 3 units. Already gave you guys that one. You're going to take it down to Jets +3. I've seen 2.5s and 3s still out there. So as long as you grab the 3, grab the 3. Do not take the 2.5. Raiders +8 for 3 units. You're fine to take it down. No, actually you're not. Raiders +8. Don't take it down. Don't take it down to 7. Keep it at Raiders +8. There's several 8s out there, so you guys should be fine to grab it. The Broncos just are okay. You guys keep seeing it. They keep winning very close games. 8 points is too many. I don't care how bad the Raiders are. The Broncos aren't good. Their Broncos aren't good enough to be favored by more than a touchdown against any team in the NFL. I don't care if it's the Titans. I don't care if it's the Raiders. I don't care if it's the Saints. They're not good enough to be favored by that. I cannot wait to fade that team in the playoffs. Anyway, Cardinals +10 for 3 units. There's only 1 10 out there as of this morning, but I think more of them hit 10. So if you just don't, especially given all the Cardinals injury news, if you don't have 10 yet, just wait and you should get 10. Yeah, we may lose this one. The Rams may win this game by 50 points. I don't really have any reasoning for you. It's just a model would tell you it's too many points. We bet with models here, not with emotion. So Cardinals +10, 3 units. If you don't want to play that one, I can accept it. And then my favorite play of the day, favorite play of the week this week. One of my favorite plays in the NFL so far this year. Packers -6 for 10 units against the Bears. Packers should blow them out. Bears are historically the worst team in the NFL with their record per DVOA history. So, and the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. And then we're on the Chiefs -3.5 tonight for 5 units against the Texans. A lot being made of the Texans defense going up against the Chiefs offense with their offensive line injuries. Okay. Do we think the Texans are going to score against the Chiefs defense tonight in Arrowhead? That's more where my mind is at on this one. So I trust the Chiefs to manufacture, 17 points in this one. I don't really know if I trust the Texans to get more than a touchdown in this one. So Chiefs -3.5 for 5 units. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back at you again tomorrow for Monday Night Football. We've already given you that play, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. Enjoy your NFL Sunday. Stay warm out there, and let's have a day.